I'd like to welcome you to the USF podcast. Welcome to another episode of the USF podcast. I'm proud to say I have Danny, a.k.a. Mr.Mario2011 here today, content YouTube creator. How you doing, Danny?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me on. How are you doing, Mandela?
I'm doing wonderful. Let's get started. So how did you come up with the name Mr. Mario 2011?
Well, with that, it's a name I had for a bit. Originally, it started from a nickname that happened in middle school, where I've been a gamer for most of my life, at least. But in middle school, there was actually a bit of a Mario Bros type thing that me and several of my friends had. So my name was Mario. And then I remember the summer of 2007, I ended up picking up a Xbox 360, and when you make a profile on there, you have to give it a name. So I called mine Mario, and it was just offline. Then when I went on to Xbox Live later, of course Mario was taken. I tried Mr. Mario, and that was taken as well too. And then I was like, well, I have to throw some numbers in here because I'm not being super creative right now. But let's see. Well, I don't want to put 93 or 1993 because that's the year I was born, because that just sounded weird. And I was like, I've never used this 2011. I've never used that for anything. And that was the year I graduated high school. So I was like, let's go ahead and give that a shot. So I put it in. Mr. Mario 2011 wasn't taken. And then it was there. And then from that, I pretty much posted up everything with that as well too, so kind of my whole social media presence and everything. If I want people to know it's me, my account's Mr. Mario 2011. If not, then I'm gonna go incognito on another account name or anything like that. But then with the YouTube channel, I made that probably about a year or two after I had the gamer tag, just to kind of unify everything, so it's like, hey, you know where to find me. And that's really it, and it kind of just spiraled out from there.
So how did you decide after making the name? Okay, you have an interesting name, right? You got something that no one else is using, like you said. But what do you decide on what content do you put up? So what was your first video?
Dude, my first video is it wasn't like it was never supposed to be anything like this, but it was a disturbing video that I'd had on this little cheap MP3 player that I bought one summer, and I was showing my friend Eric the video, and I recorded his reaction to it on like my really, really horrible flip phone that I had at the time. I mean, prior to that, I had a few other YouTube channels that I messed with here and there, but that's at least the first video that was on the Mr. Mario channel. Nothing at all reflective of what is happening now with it.
Okay, nice. Okay, that's funny. So you go from a video that's not reflecting of what the channel is now. So how did you find your niche? What was your, I guess, moment that you got recognition?
Well,
It worked for you.
I swear I didn't plan around this with the name or anything like that, but it was actually in 2011. It was around the summer of 2011. I started working on some videos here and there because I've always loved video editing and recording and all that stuff. So I'd been editing videos long before, but even at this point, I wasn't really editing that much. I was mostly just hitting record, talking, and then stop, and then I would upload the video straight up. But at the time, it was that summer I was learning how to modify the Xbox 360 and everything, because it was a system I'd never tackled before. And the problem I was having with the things I was trying to do was that everything I was looking up, there were either horribly written tutorials, videos weren't detailed enough because they just assumed you knew or had all these other things. There was just so much information. There's a severe lack of information, a overwhelming growth of misinformation on there, and just people not being the nicest on the internet, as you'd be able to tell from just being on the internet for a while. So
Yeah.
what happened was I spent a few nights teaching myself what I was trying to do and everything, and then what ended up happening was I had a camcorder at the time. I picked it up, hit record, showed what to do, because I was like, you know what? I spent all my nights doing this. I can teach someone how to do this stuff. And those videos are not that good, honestly. Yes, they are in HD, but it was me recording at like the lowest quality I had, and not even using a tripod or video editing software or anything like that. And I was just recording my screen with my camcorder. But those videos took off because at the time they were the most updated. They were really the clearest ones out there. And the content was what people were there for, not so much the video quality. So then it just started really picking up from there.
So from, like you just said, people were coming for the content. That weigh on you and your decision of what to upload going forward, or did you just continue doing what you wanted to upload and love?
I've always said from the beginning, like, yeah, no, I'm going to, I mean, I am going to keep in mind, like, yes, my subscribers are going to like this or they'll like that or whatever it is, but mostly it's really whatever I'm doing. Because the thing is, if I make a video that I have to force out, it's not a good video. Even I myself, if some people are like, oh man, this video was great, like, even I intrinsically, I'm like, it could have been a lot better. I had no
Yeah.
passion behind that project, whatever it was. So even now, like the tutorials I do, the modding type projects I do, and everything like that, those are all things that I'm genuinely interested and passionate about. And there's definitely things that honestly I could tackle and then get a bunch of views and cash in on that and everything. I choose not to do it though because I'm not solely reliant on this. And also I'm like, well, this thing I'd rather wait on it to be more refined, or I'd rather wait for more information or more easier method, or this I'm just honestly I'm not interested in doing this, so I'm not going to cover it.
So when you spoke on there, let's pick it up a little bit. You're not solely focused on this, right? So
Yeah.
how do you measure success on your channel for you, since it's not something that is, I need this to keep your house lights on, right? What is success to you when you look at your channel?
Success to me is seeing a good amount of growth and activity. And to that, I mean, that's going to be, obvious just from looking at it, but a really good measuring tool is your subscriber count. While as this can vary here and there, because you could have a lot of subscribers and not get that many views, and even vice versa, you could have a few subscribers and get a ton of views depending on what you do, how you market yourself, everything like that. But definitely subscribers, like if I see myself constantly growing, and there's very few days in the past few years, I think I can count on one hand, if I look back at my analytics, a day where I had gone negative in growth, and that's mostly due to the fact that YouTube, they usually audit dead accounts and everything and remove them from your subscriber feed and everything. Aside from that, though, another thing would be just seeing how active subscribers are and everything on your comment section. So when you upload a new video, or even your previous backlog of videos, how many comments they're getting, how often is everything like that.
Okay, I see that now. So for you, it seems like you do things that you love, and you also at the same time know what can be successful. So my next thing is YouTube, and who is distributing content, meaning is popular and what's being said. Um, Sometimes there's less value, meaning it's not great content. It's just popular of the moment. For you, how do you feel about things like drama channels and things like that becoming popular on YouTube, and people are getting success, but they're not having as much value as other channels, people would say?
People that are cashing in on drama and everything like that, I mean, yeah, it's going to get you views and attention, everything, but then the problem is you also become branded with that as well too. Like even I myself, I've already said I like to really upload whatever I want to, whatever I feel like, but I myself, because of my content, have been branded as kind of a gaming modding tutorial type channel, which I don't have an issue with. But then there's other people, for example, they might try and do some drama here and there, and then if people expect that, one, it's not gonna be looked at as the best. It's not a well-respected art. And the second thing with that is then you try and do something else and people don't want that. They want to come there for the drama. But that's also going to be, disposable type videos as well too, where people aren't going to be coming back in like 5 years in huge
Yeah.
waves and watching those videos. Unlike, of course not everyone can do this, but like the situation I'm in, I'm blessed in it, thankfully. But since I do tutorials and all that, there's going to be people that are always watching them because they might need to know something. They look it up, they find it through Google search result or a YouTube search result or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. And to build off that about them always searching your videos, let's talk about ads.
Yeah.
Um, how did you decide, how's ad revenue streams? Give listeners a little bit of background of how things work in the sense of YouTube, of deciding your ad revenue and choosing a network, and then go into your own personal experience of how you chose your own network and things like that.
Sure. So the way YouTube works from a base level is, you upload your videos, they are public, they get watched, all that stuff. And there's a thing called a partnership program. Now, I'm talking about this, assuming I'm talking with people who aren't familiar with it. The partnership program, essentially, you give them some information, you verify yourself, and then you are able to run ads on your videos and on your channel. Google takes their cut because, they're hosting you, and then you get the rest of the cut as well. Now, what Mandela was talking about when he talked about networks is you can get into a different thing called a multi-channel network. Now, if you're just partnering straight through Google, you're doing AdSense, you're doing Google, all that stuff, that's fine. Or if you want to be more specialized, you want some more attention, you need any other type of help, anything like that, you can go with a multi-channel network. Now, people have good things to say about them, bad things to say about them. I personally have pretty good things to say about them. I was on Google for about 2.5 years, and then I switched over to Curse, also known as Union for Gamers. Now, what this network does is they are kind of an intermediary network where they claim your channel and partner it. So now I'm partnered under Curse, and what happens is every month I have a 90-10 split with them, so I keep 90% of the revenue instead of 100%. They get the other 10%. The reason why that's able to happen is because the agreement I made with them, essentially the reason why I looked for that network was because, one, there's no lock-in contract, so at any point I can really just request to unlink, and within 30 days I'm out and my channel is unsigned. The 90% is really nice as well too, although some people might say, well, why don't I just get the other 10%? The reason why was because another thing you deal with, unfortunately, on YouTube is copyright and such, and with that it was getting to the point where I would say when I was getting close, I probably had 7,000-8,000 subscribers. I was having a lot of videos that were getting music ID'd, visuals ID'd, and these things were either, like, the way they were being handled was really poor, because when you go directly through Google, unless you have like 1 million subscribers, you're really not going to get any attention unless you're a huge channel. And then even with that, the support you're going to get won't really be the best. So me being a smaller channel at the time, the support was non-existent. I never talked with anyone at Google when I was with them. So what ended up happening was I decided to go with Curse because they were going to be more suited for my tastes. They were a gaming network. They were, well liked as well too, well received. And in addition to all of that, it was really just the ease of access and the peace of mind of having a contact point. If I have a question, if I have a concern, and this has come up several times, I can contact someone there and they get back to me within 24 hours. There are actual humans working there, and having that intermediary process is really great, and having that backbone and that support on there. And it becomes almost crucial once your channel hits a certain point. Really, when you're growing and all that, you really don't need to get onto a network. A lot of people say that, but then even with that, if you are looking at a network, you have to look up your networks too. I still get a ton of invites. I'm not looking for any other place, but a lot of these networks that come up are pretty shady as well. They cut because it's so easy to set one up. They set one up and they might not release your channel. They might have really bad reviews. They might be really shady, whatever it is, or give you, poor CPM, which is cost per million, how much you're making per 1,000 views on your videos and all that stuff that are monetized. So they'll be all over the place with that, man. It can get really crazy and intricate with it all. The only thing I'd really recommend is, not only read your contract, but also just look up the networks and do your research. Because I myself, there's some people, for example, it's kind of like with a job. When I was graduating, I knew people that they're just like, oh yeah, I signed to this place, and it might not be the best place, but I'm not going to work there. I'm going to be looking for other places. I'm not like that with my job as well. I want to be all like, well, realistically, I probably won't work here all my life, but I want to assume like, okay, if I worked here for like 10 or 20 years, would I be okay with it? And it was kind of like that with me and Curse. It's like, I wanted to do one move from Google to whatever, and I want to make sure it's like, yeah, at some point I can leave, but I really don't want to move my channel around a bunch.
So, like you just said about not moving your channel around a bunch. One thing that people listening to this want to know is the work ethic, like how much time do you put into this? Beyond just reading the contract, getting notoriety, and getting popular for these tutorials that people have seen and now have known you as an individual for your channel. How much time do you take on doing that? Because you work job, like you said. So
That's true. Yeah, I do. For anyone that doesn't know, I do work a 40-hour week job that is not affiliated with YouTube at all. So I am employed full time. And then I do this as a paid hobby on the side. Now it depends on what we're talking about because we don't have YouTube blocked at work, which is nice. So if you're talking about just like being on YouTube watching videos, I don't even want to admit how long I'm on there for.
okay.
But no, if you're talking about like the actual video creating process and all that stuff, honestly, there's some times where I might not have time, so I won't get on for a day or two, something like that. I don't normally
Okay.
check my comments and all that, so I try and get on 30 minutes, an hour a day, something like that. Whether it be watching videos or checking comments, replying, anything like that. But then there's other days as well where what I like to do is I like to kind of stockpile my content, and if I have a free day, hey, I'll knock out like 3-4 videos and just stagger release them.
Do you find that you have YouTube to connect with your followers, like Twitter or Facebook, to be closer with them? And if you have, what's the response been? Have you been meeting them outside of the YouTube, viewer onlooker realm? Is it person to person meetup, or do you know anything about that?
And you cut out slightly, but are you asking like if I've been using social media and all that to kind of grow my
Yeah.
YouTube
So
page?
have you been
Yes.
using social media to connect with your followers beyond just
Absolutely.
uploading?
No,
Okay.
absolutely I have, and that's been nice as well too. I think so far, honestly, my favorite to connect with my subscribers on everything has been Twitter, just because it's real casual conversation, all that type of stuff. So I have an Instagram, I have a Facebook, I have a Twitter, and Twitter's probably the one where I respond to the most people on and everything. As it's funny that you mentioned the meetup type thing, because I don't see myself as my see a lot of my viewers. I'll clarify this: a lot of my viewers and everything are actually from unsubscribed people because of the tutorials. So even if you look at my my views right now for videos that I just uploaded, admittedly they're not going to be the highest amount of views. It can be annoying here and there, but my channel overall gets a pretty good amount of views per month, like at least
Yeah.
250,000, I would say, on a normal basis. And that's due to the fact that there are all those other tutorials and everything. So there's other people where, let's say I release a few videos and they might get, when I upload them, like 1,000 views or 800 views, or I don't know, 2,000 views, something like that. There might be other people who they upload videos and each one consistently gets like 3,000-4,000 views. The funny thing is, I actually, although I would like that, I also look at their analytics and I look at my analytics, and overall I have more views per month than they would. And that just depends, that's kind of the nature of the beast, whether it be you want to upload content for the now or content that can be served later and kind of be
Yeah.
used as a info repository of sorts. Going back to the whole meetup though, I actually just recently, right before I hit 30,000 subscribers, ended up meeting someone who was in the same town as me.
Oh wow. And how did that go?
Awesome. Actually, he's one of my good friends now, so it worked out pretty well.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, I think listeners hearing this now are gonna say, "Well, I'm convinced I want to be a content creator, or side or full time." What do you say to them? That person that has that idea, but hasn't executed on it.
Don't gun after full time, man. Don't do it. I know that's gonna sound so demotivating, but now, like,
Yeah.
even what I'm doing right now, I myself and many others, I know it sounds so cliche, but like most of the people who have gotten quote unquote successful on YouTube, they didn't go into it trying to be successful. When I started and when I discovered YouTube, which was like during its inception, like when it was in beta in like 2005 2006, when all that was going on, this is pre-Google, nobody thought that you could make money doing this. I remember when it was announced that they were going to start partnering channels and that they had given some channels seed money and all that. That was unheard of. Like, that was a whole brand new thing. And I also remember when being partnered was like a really respectable thing. And now really anyone can be partnered at this point, so it's not as big of a deal anymore. But the thing is, with going after it, I would say the thing I tell people is just to do it. Like, if I come to your channel, you have 1 subscriber and you've uploaded 2 videos and those are the first ones you do, I don't expect them to be good. Like, I myself, I'm looking at my desk right now, like, I have a computer that's pretty decent. I've had, a few thousand sunk into that. I have, my game systems as well too that I've worked with. I have my hardware, my capture cards as well too. I've spent a good amount on this. I didn't get any of that overnight. Just like somebody who collects tools, or not even collects, but they purchase tools to put in their tool shed or anything like that. They don't buy everything overnight. It takes time, and over the course of years they acquire everything like that. And that's just kind of the nature of this as well too. Like, for example, I was using my old phone. I'd use smartphones, dumb phones. I'd used a crappy camcorder before I got a DSLR. I used webcams, all that stuff. Like, when you first start off, especially if you don't know how to use all that stuff, I mean, it's such a sink as well too. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, just work with what you have at first, see how it goes, all that stuff. You don't have to be good when you first start, but just gradually work up from there. And the nice thing is there's also appreciation for that as well too. And the other big thing with that is don't overthink it, because I know a lot of people, they're just like, oh, I have to have an intro, have to have an outro, have to have the channel banner and all that stuff done. I have to have all my social media. I have to split up everything. I have to have my vlog channel, my gaming channel. No. None of that. Just make one channel, start basic, upload, because Rome was not built in a day, man.
And just to go off that note, where do you see YouTube going in the future, 5 to 10 years now, right? We have a lot of other networks. You mentioned Twitter, there's Instagram. A lot of these things are adding video to it, even if it's 30 seconds to a minute, right?
Yeah.
And it's interaction with people. So do you think YouTube's still going to have that hold that it has now as far as streaming, or do you think it's going to go somewhere else?
Well, I'll preface this by saying that I believe it was Susan, who is the CEO of YouTube. I believe she had said that in the next 5 years, it's 2016 right now, in the next 5 years or so, that streaming video is going to take over 90% of the internet. And I firmly believe that. You're seeing it with almost everything having its own type of streaming service. There's Twitter, as you said, Instagram, Vine, what else is there? Facebook video, they're trying to get up there as well too. You have all the other streaming sites like YouTube, Dailymotion, Vimeo, anything like that. And that's not even going to include all the other things that are coming in, and it's being used for educational purposes as well too. And now you're even seeing YouTube start to evolve. We're not only there, improving at what they do and everything. For example, they'd implemented 4K video early on. They now are pretty much the biggest repository of easily accessible 60 frames per second video as well too, which is really nice. Then even on top of all that, just like the ease of use and everything, the infrastructure they have available is great, but you're seeing them delve into other things. They now have YouTube Red, which is a monthly streaming service where you're able to get a few benefits. If you pay the $10 a month, you also get Google Play Music Pro or whatever on top of that as well too. And the nice thing is with that is that you also get, I haven't seen these shows, but now they're having original programming, like what Amazon does, what Netflix does, and they're wanting to aim for that. Now, right now, I don't think the programming's that good. In the next 5 years, who knows, we might start seeing, full-fledged TV shows and everything on YouTube Red. And that's what we're starting to see as well too with, I think, another thing that's YouTube Unplugged, which is essentially a cable service that they're going to try and do through YouTube and have it be streaming and everything like that, because cable is a completely dying medium, especially with the feed and the target audience of YouTube right now, with it being millennials, ages 18 to 25, something like that. Like, I don't have cable. People are not getting cable because it's a complete waste. So yeah, I think this is the way of the future. Do I think it's going to be YouTube? I don't know, because they can grow, they have Google behind them and everything, but I think that streaming video is absolutely going to be the way of the future with everything evolving as it is right now.
Interesting. I mean, what I'm hearing, and I think listeners hearing this, is just start and see what happens.
Making a Google account takes like 2 minutes and it's free. I mean, if you're using the internet right now, you most likely have a Google account.
As you can see, Mr. Mario has it down pat. If they're looking for you, if they want to watch your videos or just reach out to you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I of course I'm on YouTube, and hopefully nothing broke there.
No.
I'm on YouTube, so Mr.Mario2011. That is Mr.Mario2011. If you're here from the podcast, go ahead, drop by, say hi in the comment section, anything like that. If you're too shy for that, I'm also on social media as well too, where I'm most prevalent on Facebook, which is Mr.Mario2011, and Twitter, which is the exact same thing as well. So that's really where you can find me.
Great. All right. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. And we'll see you next week on the next episode of USF. You've just listened to another episode of the USF podcast. You can follow us at www.universalstudentfund.org.